Well, hey you, it's Alexis M. Lott, and on today's episode, we are talking all about this. How do you stop second guessing your ideas and trust God's timing? All right. Well, I'm Alexis M. Lott. If you've never heard of me before, my responsibility on this YouTube channel is to help high-performing women who are called to lead heal overthinking and embrace your calling. And I cannot wait to dive in and talk to you all about how to stop second guessing yourself. So watch this intro video and I'll be right back with all the goodies. I will talk to you soon. Hi, my name is Alexis M. Lott, and I use my communication talents to hold you accountable to living an abundant life. Guess what? After 15 years of figuring out how to heal from being molested as a kid, from being born with sickle cell disease, from being abused for years by a family member, from being bullied at school, I decided that it was time to take back the reins of my life. I made what Jesus did for me bigger than what anyone had done to me. And now my responsibility is to teach you how to do the same. I help women who are called to lead heal their overthinking mind and embrace their calling, especially if you've had a hard past. Welcome to my channel. I cannot wait to teach you and to love on you because I love you and there is nothing that you can do about it. Welcome in and let's get started. Okay, so listen, we are blooper. All right, so listen, we are back and I'm talking about how I got the strength to stop second guessing myself and second guessing my ideas. How do you know which one is God calling you to execute? How do you know what you should and should not be doing? And today, y'all, I wanted to really talk about this because I feel like so many high-performing women struggle with knowing what to execute first. And one of the things that happens to us is I think we overwhelm ourselves with ideas. We overwhelm ourselves with things to do, and we see so many people doing things. We don't stop to think, number one, how has God uniquely designed me, myself, and I, and what is my current responsibility in this season? So I want to tell you that when it comes to your purpose in life is truly to let your light shine before men. That's your purpose. How you choose to do that, God has never specified in the Bible how you are supposed to go about letting your light shine. He just wants you to take your story, whatever revelation you have about God, whatever things that you feel led to do, whatever things are aggravating you, and whatever things that he may have specifically said for you to do, like in a prophetic word or something like that. And he just wants you to execute. So a lot of times, what I want to tell you is not to major on the minors. Some of us are so caught up in, is God saying it's the YouTube or the podcast, or should I write a book, or do I start a blog, or what website do I do, or how do I put what this is inside of me? What container or medium do I put it in? And I really want to tell you, God isn't holding some microscope over you, wanting you to put it in a specific format. But what does matter is that you get it out there. Now, the second thing is that you really have to know yourself. Because if you are someone who is called to maybe podcast because it may be easier for you to just get up, press record, and talk, you want to appeal to an audience who's more of a podcast listener, then do that. But if you're really someone who really wants to do video and use your voice and your hands and translate your story and all the things you've been called to do, your knowledge on video, then do that. Whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart, okay? Put your all into it, but don't get so caught up on the medium that you forget the message, okay? The second thing that I want you to realize is when it comes to how to stop second guessing your ideas, one of the things that you have to really be careful about is the timing of God. Because when God's timing aligns with the idea that he's given you, the telltale sign that it's time to execute is resources. God always sends the resources that you need. And sometimes in his weird way, he sends resources before he sends you a big message or a signal that says, yes, go for it, do it. Many of us are waiting on a special moment in church or in our personal life to happen. And I want to tell you that there's nothing wrong with waiting for special moments. But when you have taking every single sign from God, and you're trying to like put together like some type of sort of like journal or writings on the wall. It just gets real spooky and deep, because I'm a person who comes from a very prophetic church, a very prophetic people. And I think a lot of times what happens is that we predicate our movement based on the prophetic. It's like we need a word to push us forward. And what that means, the prophetic, is there are times where people who have been called by God get specialized and specific words to foretell something that we should be doing in the future. I remember one time God called me. I was driving down the street and I heard a very distinct voice that was not like my own. And the voice said, call the women to prayer and teach them how to pray. Now, that was all the instructions God gave. He said, call women to prayer and teach them how to pray. So I put together an online event called Teach Me How to Pray. It was on a Zoom call, and I let the recordings be live, and I put it up so where anyone could now get the recordings. But Teach Me How to Pray became like a staple of my ministry, The Cherished Woman. There was no right or wrong way on how to do it. And I think a lot of times, the third thing that I want to say is that because our visions are so big, we are aiming now for what God has placed in our minds as a future vision. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say that Steve Jobs in his brain saw in his mind the iPhone 13. The iPhone 13 can do things that the iPhone 1 could never do. But let's say in his brain, he always saw the iPhone 13. What would have happened to iPhone versions 1 through 12 if all Steve Jobs saw was 13? They would have never came about. There would have been, watch this, no room for improvement, no room for grace, no room for growth if the aim of his idea would have been the finished version. Many of us don't get started. Oh, I feel the anointing on the things that God has called us to do because we are so stuck on making the current version of what we are supposed to do look like the end result, and then we don't get started. So the YouTube channel doesn't look like what someone else's looks like who's on their 60th video, and you're just at number 1. But because your number 1 doesn't look like their 60, you discount the grace that's put upon what you're supposed to do now. Because your version 1 doesn't look like what your podcast won't sound like what theirs sounds like now. You might not have the fancy intro. You may not have all the social media that's supposed to come out with every episode. You may not have everything that you need right now, but you have enough to just keep going. And I think sometimes we doubt the potency of our seed and the potency of our anointing because of comparison. Comparison is not just the thief of joy. Comparison is also the thief of your progress. And many times we are stuck in a place where comparison has come in and the enemy has used it to sow this seed of unworthiness, to make us think that the version and what we have now is not enough to get started. There's this saying out in the marketing field that you don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get it going. And many of us won't do the work of just putting something in motion and getting it going because our complex, trauma surviving self, our inner perfectionist, our imposter syndrome, all those voices speaking to us saying that people are watching, they're going to criticize, and our own internal critic is so loud telling us that we cannot be happy with what it is that we've decided to do in just this moment in time. So my question to you is, have you squandered the timing of God and the resources of God that He has sent because you are waiting on the perfect version of what you see in your mind to be birthed now instead of resting in what it looks like right now? So I just want to leave you with that and let that marinate and let that sit on you, because I want you to go and get started with what you have right now. That is the number one way. The number one way that you stop second guessing your God-sized idea is that you begin to love. Listen to me. It's just like working out. It's like weight loss. A person who says, I'm going to start working out now at 400 pounds, but I'm not going to love my body or like the way I look until I get to 100 or 200 pounds has missed the whole journey. Because loving yourself has to start at where you are right now, so that the love that you have for yourself sustains you throughout the journey. Will you appreciate yourself more now that you look better? Will you have more confidence? Will you have more self-esteem? Yes, that's humanity. You may wear a few outfits, boo, when you 220 as opposed to when you was 420. It's human nature, but you cannot discount and interrupt the love that you have for yourself at this phase because you don't look like where you want to be. You can't withhold love because you're waiting on time to catch up with what you see. Don't withhold the love that you want to pour into people, your vision, your ideas, and your progress because it doesn't look like what you want it to right now. Choose to trust that God is working it out as you move, and God can do something in you that we talk about in the personal development world and in the physics world called a quantum leap. That if you would just trust God in the blink of an eye and put the work in and what it looks like right now, you would be surprised at how God can take something that's so small and he can shift it in the blink of an eye to something that's huge and cause time to catch up with itself because you decided to stop wasting time, to get started, and to be consistent. Well, listen, this is Alexis M. Lott. If you are loving these videos, please like, subscribe, and share this YouTube channel. I have more where this is coming from. We're talking all about the things that trip up the high-performing woman that cause you to overthink and not embrace your calling. That's what we talk about here on this channel. I love you so much, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And guess what? If you want to follow me, if you want more, I am on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Alexis M. Lott. And I cannot wait to see and hear more from you. I will talk to you later.